All right, welcome, Shemeka. I have a great topic for us. Don Lemon was on the Bill Maher program over the weekend and talked about being the only black person in white spaces while talking about DEI. Let's watch the clip.
I'm not minimizing what's going on, but
Right.
it teaches some of these students to deal with discomfort, right?
Yeah, that's good.
Right. I mean, it does, right?
So,
But this
you mean
is
the tent, living in the tent?
well, living in the tent, and also, listen, I'm different than you guys. You know, I'm a black gay man, so I live in uncomfortable spaces all the time, and I think that is a good lesson for college students. Again, I'm not saying
Why?
anti-Semitism is right.
What's going on?
Well, what do you mean? What's going on?
Well, you say uncomfortable spaces.
Well, it's uncomfortable. Everything. College is not a comfortable place. You learn.
No, but you say
grow.
you live in these spaces.
Yeah, I live in these spaces.
Well, I mean, just tell me what.
Well, I'm often the only person of color in the room, especially in.
There's only three of us
spaces.
here.
Yeah.
Come on. Come on. Come on.
So they were talking about DEI, and then they started talking about what's going on the college campuses and protests. Lemon was actually critical of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Then they start talking about the protests, the pro-Hamas, pro-Palestine protests going on college campuses. Then Don transitions into about these uncomfortable spaces he's in. He's often the only, and Bill Maher calls him out on it, but not the way I would have called him out. Hey, Don, how uncomfortable you in that bedroom, bro? In your house. Right. You're the only black person, the only person of color in your bedroom, in your house, on your honeymoon, most places, and this is by choice. And so Don Lemon is confused, but anyway, your thoughts?
Yeah, even his dogs are white, if I remember the picture correctly, with him and his so-called husband. So he's always the only black person, like you said, in his house and in his bedroom. And what makes me so angry about Don is he always wants to bring up race, and he's the one that wears his love of mud stomping on his sleeve. The other guy that was there, I don't know who that is. I don't know who he lays down with that night, but this is always what Don Lemon leads with. I am gay, I am black. I am gay, I am black. I am gay, I'm black. Is there any other thing that Don can talk about without bringing race into it? That's like his identity being black and gay. And I don't know about anybody else, but I'm sick of it. I would like a different angle.
Much different angle. And again, this goes to my point about, how we moved away from a Christian identity, and we should all be leaning into that instead of all these different things. But what I hear from Don, like when he was, and we didn't show this part of the clip, but when he was criticizing diversity, equity, and inclusion, what he's basically trying to say is, I didn't get my jobs because, of DEI. I earned them. And so I'm going to be critical. But then he's going to turn right back around in that same conversation and say, I'm black and I'm gay. And, I'm the only person that's black and gay in these spaces. And we need more diversity in these spaces. And, college campuses they're supposed to be uncomfortable and all this other stuff. It's just the lack of consistent logic is related to this man is very uncomfortable with himself. And the solution for Don and anybody with this type of confusion, the solution is just take a Christian identity, take your identity in Christ and just leave it alone. And it's tough, it's difficult. I don't want to say this, but yeah, I want to be honest. It would be a lot easier for me to have just continued on in the life path that I was in. I could be in Vegas tonight and at Spearmint Rhino within 30 minutes of touching down and having a good old time. But I've just chosen a different path, and he needs to choose a different path because he just sounds like an idiot. And to see Bill, I was halfway proud of Bill Maher for calling him out I wish he had gone all the way there because I guarantee you they thought it. They thought this. Man, you taking 6 to 8 inches of white meat on a regular, and you worried about? I'm just sorry for being that crude, but the love the
What?
fruit, hate the tree Negroes just drive me crazy. I'm just sorry.
Yeah, I think you might be pushing it on that 8 inches. I think you're pushing it on that. But it's crazy that they love to talk about this DEI, except when we look at them as if they are a diversity, equity, and inclusion hire. Like, you have to choose a side. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. That's why they are tossed to and fro and don't know which way to stand on it. Because you want someone to think that you got there based on merit, but then you want to push the idea that it shouldn't be based on merit, and you wonder why people are confused. Because for me, let me get to where I am because of my abilities, what I'm capable of doing, my mind, my wit. Let me do that. Don't put me in a position simply because I'm a Black woman, because then that diminishes all of my other qualities. But this is what they do, and this is why Don Lemon is all over the place and can't find a steady niche, because he doesn't have any morals and he doesn't have any values that he can really sink his teeth into or stand 10 toes down on, because it's silly. Either you believe in merit or you believe that we need to provide a space for people to get somewhere simply because of the color of their skin or their sexual orientation, and everybody has to be included. If everybody has to be included, you're not going to choose the best of the best. Because what if the best genuinely is a straight white man, but you cast him to the side because you need a Black lesbian? This is, to me, is what the DEI pushes, which is why you call it DIE. And I agree, because things like that die and they don't have any type of value. So Don, along with the rest of them, like, it's surprising that he would actually stand against it, but no, not me. Then it's not surprising, because which way do you swing, Don? You didn't told us how you swing in the bedroom, but we need you to now have some type of values and a foundation that you stand on when it comes to other things, if you want us to take you seriously.
We sit around and spend all the time talking about our ancestors. I'm removing Don Lemon from this because he probably doesn't do it. He's probably ashamed of his ancestors. But many of us sit around and talk about our ancestors, and we so inspired by them, and I just sit there and go, take my grandfather, all that he accomplished, what he provided for his family. And there was no diversity, equity, and inclusion. No one gave him anything. And he provided for his family. He's a great provider. That was his greatest strength, because he was a player and all the other stuff that drove my grandmother crazy. But he was a provider. I just think of all that he accomplished. And then for this generation, let's say Paul would be 100 years old right now. And for my generation and younger people to sit around and go, well, if they don't give us X, Y, and Z, we can't make it. The world's not fair. It should be so much easier on us than it was on our ancestors. And I'm not saying what our ancestors dealt with was fair, but they did it and provided for us and created things for us. And we just like a bunch of cowards and simps running around. We can't make it unless the white man gives us something. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy and it's disgusting the way that we think. Like, I can remember coming up and being told you have to do things 10 times better. I accepted that. It wasn't something that made me feel like, oh, I should be down and out and sad about it and it's not fair. And it made me want to be the best that I could be. When I was in a baton group, I started with a baton group. It was predominantly white. I wanted to be the best simply because I wanted to be the best. I practiced every day, and I walked around with my batons all the time. Ended up being able to twirl 3 batons because I can twirl fire. I was a coach for the United States Twirling Association. I wanted to be the best. Now these people don't want to be the best. They want to be mediocre, but be considered the best. No, if you really want to excel in anything, you have to put in that hard work, and you have to put in practice, and you have to have dedication. It should never be based on what you look like or who you sleep with or any of that. And nowadays, this is what these kids want to do. They want to be mediocre, or they want to be below grade level, but get paid or be looked at as if they are these high achievers. They definitely want to be high earners, but they don't want to put in the work to be high achievers. And that gets on my nerve all the time. We hear this, there's a gender wage gap, or there's gaps between people of color and white people. Well, what are y'all trying to do? You want to make $100,000 because you, I don't know the difference between a rose petal and a tulip? Like, y'all look, you're looking to be good or mediocre in dumb things. Really look to achieve and actually do something, and then you will get the gratification or the recognition from that because you're actually good, not because somebody is giving you a handout.
Thank you, Shemeka. Great job as always. Before we go, I want to talk to you guys about our great friends at Patriot Mobile. Switch today with Patriot Mobile. Get the same great nationwide coverage while supporting the conservative values you believe in. Go to patriotmobile.com/Jason or call 972-PATRIOT. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss a moment of Fearless.